All right, here's an interactive tutorial about our compound complex sentence usage for this week. Now, one thing to remember is that you need to recall the fanboys for this section, because as we're writing and using compound and complex sentences, we need to remember how to combine the parts of our sentence. And the best way to do this is with conjunctions like the fanboys. Now, we reviewed these earlier in the year, but the FANBOYs stands for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. And these are very popular conjunctions for connecting words and connecting two sentences into one. And it's something that you'll be practicing throughout this week with no red ink. So, can I see an example? You've got these two sentences, two shorter sentences that could easily be combined, which is a trait of writing that I see that a lot of us could work on right now. So the two examples that we have Jane likes baking brownies, period, and her brownies are delicious, period. Now, an easy way to combine them using proper punctuation and using the conjunction, we have Jane likes baking brownies, comma, and her brownies are delicious. So what's happening here? When combining two sentences into one, the ones up here, place a comma before any of the fanboys. So that goes for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. And a comma needs to be before them. Another thing to remember is when combining two sentences, make sure to change the first letter of the second sentence into a lowercase letter if necessary. So notice how the two sentences originally, because when you start a sentence you need to have a capitalized first word. When the sentences are combined, her has become lowercase because again, you're combining it into two sentences with the fanboy. So let's try it out. And this is a practice that will come up throughout your practices. Which of the following options should go in the blank space below? Jerome wanted to go skydiving this weekend. Blank. The fierce winds made it too dangerous. So, if we're wanting to find which fanboy goes in the middle of these two sentences to combine it to make one, we'll obviously need to have a comma before the fanboy. So whichever option it is, we're going to need the comma. Semicolon, not so much in this case. We'll get into semicolons later. But so it's between these two comma options. And we have one of the fanboys here. We're deciding between for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. And but seems to make the most sense. So Jerome wanted to go skydiving this weekend, but the fierce winds made it too dangerous. I'm going to go ahead and click this. Because it has the comma, it makes sense as a conjunction to coordinate the two sentences, and it is not capitalized. So that's just an overview of the punctuating compound sentences with fanboys. That will be one of the examples that comes up throughout the practicing this week with punctuating with fanboys and building these compound complex sentences. Now, you'll also come across punctuating compound subjects, objects, and verbs. Now, things to remember with that. We have commas in compound subjects. Rule: when the words and or combine two subjects, don't place the comma between them. So we've been over the subjects of a sentence before, and the subjects of a sentence are always going to be nouns or pronouns or a combination of them. So again, when it's combining two subjects with and or, do not place a comma between them. So these examples, we have Dave and his former teacher. Now these are two subjects. You put and between them, there's no comma. I wish that mom or dad would let me hang out with Dave more. Again, we have the two subjects. Again, both nouns. We have the or in the middle, no comma between them. The huge dog and its owner stayed at Dave's house during the rainstorm. Same story. When the words and / or combine two subjects, don't place a comma between them. Another lesson to take into account as you are exploring this no-red ink stuff and learning from no-red ink, we have correcting FANBOYs fragments. So, fragments can be caused by naked FANBOYs. So we always want to avoid fragments in our writing. And especially as we start to write this essay, this literary analysis essay, you're going to want to keep these FANBOYs in mind and avoid these fragments. So this rule is important to remember and to practice on no-red ink this week. And the rule is, in very formal writing, FANBOYs for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so should not begin sentences. So these words should not begin sentences. The purposes of FANBOYs, after all, is to link two independent ideas into one complete sentence. So we've got an error right here. Dave showered in the morning, period. But he had to wash up again after practice. You cannot begin a sentence with but or for or and or nor or so. Instead, you change the period into a comma, uncapitalize the FANBOY, and then you have one combined sentence. And there, the FANBOYs are actually doing the job that they're supposed to do. Now, all three of these topics will be ones that you will have to master on no-red ink this week. The diagnostic will be due by the end of today, and then practices will be a part of what you're working on this week as well. And we'll have our quiz on Friday. Now, if you have questions, let me know. I will probably end up posting a few more practice videos and lessons going through some examples in the future. But for now, this should get you started for the unit diagnostic that is due by the end of the day today. And again, as usual, if you have questions, please feel free to email me.